we're here. Hey, everyone.
It's always that
I'm Dan. And what's that? Or I'm not Dan.
Of when it's going to go live or not.
I know. It's like somebody's going to gamify that and it's just going to be awesome, right? Of like, we're live. So welcome. Thank you guys for your grace. We've had a really busy week. And so happy to be here now. And happy that we have a lot more geeks in our GeekOut Academy. So super excited for that. And just excited to see what everybody does. So the plan today for Geek Out Live is Dan and Susan and Nicole and myself. We did a challenge this week. If you didn't know, are you living under a rock? No, I'm just kidding. We could always go better at our marketing. But we thought maybe what we could do is just share the goods, the bads, the would we do it again? What are we doing? Like, how did it work? What do we feel? Just kind of behind the scenes, behind the curtains, under the hood. And we did run it with 2.0. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then Dan made an amazing membership site that we're also going to talk a little bit about and what we did there. So, Dan, anything before we do a deep dive?
No, no, I would say, I mean, we did definitely learn some lessons, and everything you know to be true about challenges is true, and you'll want to break all the rules and just don't as much as possible. But one thing that is definitely true is the longer the ramp up, the longer the time you spend promoting it, the more people you are definitely going to get into it. We had a decent turnout. We really did for only basically a week worth of promotion.
3 weeks.
Don't be dumb like us, spend 30, 60, 90 days promoting it, and then you get a really big turnout. So
yeah, it's interesting. It would be good to talk about like what is that best window. I know. So we had 3 weeks. And it was in the last week and a half that we really turned up the number of touch points. So for 3 weeks, like probably the first week and a half of that 3-week period, we sent out a couple emails. We made the announcement on our Facebook group. We talked about it in our Geek Out Academy sessions. But then about a week and a half into that 3-week period, we started to do every other day emails. The last half of a week was every day. And we also started leveraging group track and direct messaging to send out to people to invite them and let them know, and publish in both the Academy and the regular group about the challenge. So we had socials and we also put those socials out on our Facebook profiles. And again, that was probably in the last week leading up to the challenge. So that was our general marketing layout. And then I know, Dan, you were reaching out to your list probably the last week right before it, with some really great emails that I think helped drive traffic. And then, yeah, so it was about a 3 weeks of marketing, kind of 1.5 serious. And we had, and I'll go through the numbers, but we had roughly about 25 people to 30 people show up every day, and they stayed for the whole time, which is fantastic. Right now we have on our list about 1,600 people that we invited. And Dan, you probably have another couple thousand on yours, right? That we emailed out.
Yeah. The thing I was going to say on timeline, and it's something that Russell always talks about, Steve talks about, I'm sure all the rest of the guys who are really killing it talk about this, but you gotta really start promoting anything you're doing really 6 months in advance. I mean, they always use the story of, oh, hey, somebody gets on Johnny Carson, for people my age. You get on one of these late night shows and you talk about you start talking about the movie, and then as the movie gets closer, then the producers come on and the actors come on and all that kind of stuff. But you first see the trailer when you're in the theater a year and a half ahead of time. And so Russell's writing whatever book this week, and he's been talking about, he's been doing it for years. He started talking about the book a year or two before it's going to come out. Russell started talking to us heavily about Linchpin 2 years ago. Guess what's coming out in a couple of weeks? A Linchpin book is coming out. And then Funnel Hacking Live this year is going to be all Linchpin, and everything into CCX is now Linchpin, but it's been a multiple year ramp up. And so that's what you have to do. If you're going to have a challenge, let's say you're going to have a challenge in October this year, you got to start dropping hints on it now. It's like, hey, I'm thinking about having this challenge. What would you like me to talk about with this challenge? Get people interested in it, get this thought in the back of their head that, oh, okay, they're having this challenge coming up here even though it's 2 months out, they're going to keep dipping back into your feed and going, okay, has he announced the challenge yet? When's it going to be? I'm interested in it. And so that's why you got to just keep dropping that out there to people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, long ramp time definitely would help. Okay. And then the other thing is, so in how we broke it down is we're still using a combination of ActiveCampaign and ClickFunnels 2.0 workflows. So from an invitation standpoint, we started with ActiveCampaign, and I'll show my screen, just to kind of walk through what that looked like. And entire screen. Okay, here we go. All right. And let me add it to the stream here. Okay, so this is ActiveCampaign. So this is a pretty common integration flow. So just to kind of give you a big picture, what's happening in there is all along the way, right? I'm inviting people, I'm doing a wait of some sort, and then I'm doing a check. Did they join? So that I'm not annoyingly inviting them again if they've already joined, because they're further with us in the customer journey. So we don't want to hit them up again for, if they've already joined. And we have some really great comments that are coming in. I don't know your name though, because it's just Facebook user. So if you could drop your name, that'd be awesome. We gave great content. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. It was awesome. Tons of value. Oh, and you're sharing it with your team. That is awesome. Love that. And you guys going to evergreen that challenge a little bit? Ooh, great question. That sounds like a Zach question, but cut it down with pro editing.
Michael Barlow.
Okay. And you just get all the hard work more, I think. Yeah, thank you, Michael. Yeah. I don't know if it's quite ready to evergreen yet. There were definitely from a day one perspective, I know just as I was presenting the material, I think day one hit, like it felt better. That like natural thing whenever you're working with people and you just kind of know like, that landed, or like, that didn't quite land the way that it needs to, or they look lost, or I'm not quite sure that it's resonating, or I think I can make this easier for someone to understand. So I would say my day one, like that hit pretty good. Day two, though, I think when we talk about the journey crafting part, I think we still need some work in terms of refinement. So when that gets a little bit more dialed in, then I would love to eventually make it evergreen. Now, having said that, the content will be in our membership area, which we're going to be talking to you guys about. And sorry, I'm looking down because my cat's having a hard time here. I'm just making sure he's okay.
So while you play with your cat, Andrea, what I will say here in regards to Michael's question is, I forget what exactly Russell's guideline is on this, but it's basically you do your challenge live every single week for a year, or was it do your challenge live every single
webinar
week?
every week?
I tell you, or what I guess I said challenge. So webinar, you wouldn't want to do a challenge every week, but you do your webinar every week for a year until now I'm completely drawing a blank here. So it's do the webinar live every week for a year, or was do a webinar live every week until you make $1 million.
Right.
And
exactly.
Then you can evergreen it. I think I've heard it both ways in certain combinations. But either way, yeah, you gotta keep doing it, because you gotta keep refining it and refining it and refining it. Because the question that one of the things we have to look at is, and it's something that, especially in the 2CCX training that I saw, Russell says in there, he goes, I know what your people's problem is going to be. You know your subject really well. You love teaching your subject. And so you are going to spend too much time teaching. And if you ever listen to Russell's early stories, is that's what he did. The one where he's like ends up eating Haagen-Dazs for 5 days. He taught too much, and then nobody bought, because he gave them not only the what, he gave them the how. And so then you don't need to buy it. If you think you've got it figured out because they already gave you too much stuff, if the itch has been scratched, you are not going to buy the offer. And obviously, A, we're marketers, so we want them to buy the offer. But B, if our product's any good, we want them to buy the offer, because it is going to change their life. Because what you teach in your webinar it's good, but incomplete content. And so people are going to walk away and they're going to feel good. Like, it's kind of like going to the Tony Robbins things, going to anything. I used to be in the metaphysical business for years. You go to these things and you're all hyped up, and you can stay that way just for a couple days, maybe a couple weeks if you're lucky. And then you're right back to where you were before. Same thing. You go through the webinar, you go through that challenge, you get enough that you think you're making progress, but then you're back on your island by yourself. And one of the things with what we're doing, and it's something I've been kind of bringing up, is thinking of this more as a mastermind than anything else. Because, we're going to have all kinds of training. We're going to teach you all kinds of stuff, but we're going to have the ability to be able to get face-to-face with us a couple times a week and be able to actually ask questions, not only of us, but the other people in the group, the rest of the mastermind, if you will. And so all of these are reasons on why you don't necessarily want to evergreen it, because you want to be able to have that personal contact, especially if you're doing the VIP afterwards, which I think is extremely important. You teach some stuff, you give some homework, and then you spend the time in the VIP helping them implement that homework. And then they get to put it on your Facebook page, just like Mom used to put your art on the refrigerator. And so we all get to see it right there on the side of the refrigerator after everybody got done with the homework, and people get to then talk about it and critique it and mastermind together. And so if you evergreen something, you lose all of that. Now, admittedly, Russell is sort of handling that with the Your First Funnel Challenge, because he's got actually coaches there, but we don't have a multi-billion-dollar budget like Russell does. And so you're better off just, once a month, once every 2 months, whatever you do it, get in there, have that personal contact with the people, because that's what's going to keep them coming back, and they're going to keep them in the continuity. And that's ultimately what the linchpin whole thing is about, is to build up that monthly continuity so that the first of the month, all your bills are paid. When it comes to August 1st here, and you go, okay, I got $15,000 coming in this month, guaranteed. It makes the rest of the month a lot easier.
Yeah. I will say on that note, though, since making the pivot to continuity, I was kind of running some numbers last night and just talking, thinking through, because, we had to make some big decisions on like what we would present at the end. Here, I'll share this in just a second. So, what we had to present at the end, or what we wanted to present at the end in terms of the offer. And this was the first time I ever really made an offer that felt both really good and honoring of where people are at, what they need. And it was like, it was a good amount of stuff, right? But it was all within this. And I think the jury is still out. Like Dan and I were talking yesterday. I think the jury is still out in terms of we're going all in on this continuity message. And it does feel like things have stabilized across the board, but it is a little bit of a slower growth process, right? Than what Dan and I were used to. Like Dan and I, we've been working together for, oh my gosh, have we ever been working together now for 2 years?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Year and a half, something
year
like
and a half. Okay, so I mean, we're used to
last year for sure.
Yeah, like both of us, we have our own agencies at the time, and we were used to doing like 5K, 8K, 13K deals that would involve like 3 months worth of work, right? But again, like the cash was awesome and that was cool, but it was like big spike, then nothing, big spike, then nothing, like, okay, we got to go get a big fish. Okay, go, and so this whole GeekOut model is very different for all of us, in terms of, it's smoothing everything out, but the trajectory of the growth now is like slow that way. You know what I mean? Instead of like, we're really good. Oh, we're not so good. We're really good. Oh, we're not so good. So
if you run something at $47 a month or something, and you get 2 people and you go, wow, great, I got enough to buy a couple of Starbucks coffees. So it takes a little bit, and it's hard. I mean, it's the whole get the rocket off the ground kind of thing. It takes 90% of the energy to get it up.
Yeah.
So that's it. And so it's tough when you get like 1 or 2 or 3, and you go, oh geez, I can put gas in my truck now. Great, but it just it rolls, and that's all you got to remember, is it just adds on itself. But the thing is you got to give people a reason to keep paying you that money every month.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part, is the showing up for long term. Now, I think the way we've put together, whether on purpose or accidentally, our little organization here is we got 4 people. Mm-hmm. Now, Nicole's down in South Africa, so it's a little tough for her to jump on these calls because it's the middle of the night there. But even at that, we got 3 people. So worst case, one of us is always available to do the calls, and usually 2 or 3.
I was talking to Nicole this morning, Dan, and I was just reflecting, I always knew that the reason we were in business is because doing these things is too much for one person. But the 4 of us, and we really know what we're doing, right? Like, I don't know how anybody could have pulled off a challenge by themselves. Like, we were all working on a lot of stuff, prepping and getting ready for the challenge and all. Like, I don't know how one person could do it on any kind of aggressive timeline whatsoever, right? There's a lot of moving pieces. And it was awesome to be a part of a team that we were all just like in it to win it and helping each other out and had our parts. And it was just, man, right, Madison? I'm sure you're probably experiencing it right now working with Danny. Like, just the team way is the way to go. Like, find your team because it is awesome. Like, yeah.
Even somebody like Doug Boughton, who's been doing a lot of challenges now for probably 2+ years. I'm pretty sure, if I recall the story, he may have done his very first challenge by himself. And then if he did, and he may not have, then he got his brother on board real fast. And now he's got a team of 3, 4, 5, 6 people. I don't know. The last time I was on one, there had to be probably 4 coworkers on there with him.
Yeah.
So you just need, whether they're employees or partners or whatever, you gotta have the manpower, because it's just way too easy to burn out. Even somebody like who's got Anthony Morrison. He apparently has been doing a live event every Thursday for like the last 5 years straight. But I know he's got a team. He certainly got his brother working with him, and I don't know who else. Did he start by himself? Probably. And then he probably very quickly said, yeah, this is tough all by myself.
Maybe,
but I guess it's just kind of like basically 1 live per week. So I think most any human can handle that. Some of the bigger stuff, that's where it gets really tough.
Yeah. David said he just ran one by his own this week. Hats off to you, sir. So I hope you are still alive and able to get a little rest and relaxation in this weekend. I'm sure it was a lot of work. And then he also learned from
especially Doug, if you go to the level that Doug does it, and he puts together the teams, and then he's got all the point systems, and you got to keep track of everything that people are posting into Facebook and all that. It's either you need some sort of software to do that, and I don't think it exists, or you need a lot of manual time staring at that screen.
Yeah. Someone else said something in the comment, which this definitely resonates for me, kind of to what we were just talking about, in that, yes, cash flow normalizes, but we're able to impact more people. So one of the reasons why I love being an agency is I get to look inside everybody's business, right? And understand how they're running it, and they're like, how we tweak it for what they're doing. And like, everyone is just a slightly different dynamic and slightly different variables that you have to consider. And I just find that really fun. But you're right in that it still is like, at most on the 30K gigs, we could maybe get 5 in a month. Like, that was maxing out, right? And on average, we were carrying anywhere between 10 to 30 clients at any given time between big projects and small projects. But you're right in that, like, it was just kind of one business at a time, and versus now we get to see inside a lot of different businesses and at different stages of maturity. And it's really fun. Yeah, it's really, really fun.
Yeah, the cash flow comment that came from Sebastian. When we got one above that, that one above it that says you guys were very personal, that came from Michael Barlow.
Thank you, Michael. We appreciate that. Yes, and your VIP. Okay, so thank you for bringing us back on track. So 2.0 and Active Campaign were the systems that we were using. So let's just talk a little bit. So we're in terms of the journey phase here. We are
just to answer Michael's question real fast.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into it either, Michael. So don't feel bad. It's not you.
You mean the Zoom? You're talking about the Zoom, right?
I've got to get into the Zoom link, and you're right. The VIP link and the regular link were the same, at least on one of the days. And then I think it was on day 2, I couldn't find the link to get into the VIP. So,
yeah, which is always the fun part about challenges, right? Is like making sure people have the right information in all the places. So yes, absolutely. But I think what you were referring to is that we did have people that either were supposed to be VIP because they were members and that tag didn't get applied. Or we had people that got the VIP tag by accident. And I'll talk about why and how that happened. And we'll dive into that. So this is the stage of where we're at right now. This is the invitation stage. So this happened about 2 weeks prior to the challenge. We started the email sequencing. And what you're looking at right now is an active campaign flow. But how we do it is, we send an email, we wait, and then we say, did they register? Because we don't want to hit them up again. And what we found is, so we had a big group of people initially that came in, right? So 35 people from a list of 1,500 immediately registered. First email that we sent out. Now, a lot of these people are Geek Out Academy members. So it's a little bit overinflated with hot audience, right? But that automatically came in. So then we, again, waited a day. We got 3 more, and then we waited a day. And then this is where Dan's email also went out. But from here, we got 13 that came in.
The first email I sent out was like the Sunday. It was like last week Sunday.
Right. Maybe yeah. So I think it was that one.
I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
I'll admit to everybody in here, I actually thought that the challenge was next week. And then I realized that it was this week. And I was like, oh, I better start sending something to my list.
Right. So. Yes. And true to form. So this has happened consistently with summits and challenges that I ran. About 95% of the people that come in the last 24 hours. It's that, that late, those FOMO buyers that Russell talks about. It's so true. So we got another 15 that came in about a day before. And then this one was the day of, and no one came in actually the day of, but our day of was early morning. We started at 9 a.m. So that was the flow of people coming into the invitation. And we used Active Campaign because our list is in there. That's what we were using. But in our ClickFunnels workflow, just to kind of show you guys what that looks like, we had, as soon as they came in, we're driving them to a 2.0 registration page. And then as soon as they registered, so the workflow was they opted in to the challenge. And then we were doing you can see here, the split. So we said, if they are a Geek Out Academy member, they should automatically get diverted to the VIP thing that says, you're in VIP because you're an Academy member. This is one that, and we don't quite know why yet. We are working with some of the folks on 2.0, but this didn't work for us initially. It didn't recognize the right people or the product purchase. So we went in and we toggled it to try to play with it because we were getting reports of some people not getting into VIP. So Michael, to your earlier question, it was due to this split. For whatever reason, ClickFunnels 2.0 wasn't recognizing that they were Geek Out Academy members, that they had purchased it. So not sure if it's a bug or just not sure. We're still troubleshooting why that happened. But when we went in and we changed it to tags instead of product purchase, it started to work again. So I guess if you're in 2.0 and you're making workflows, just from this experience alone, it did seem like when we're building funnels and doing split tests, the tags seem to work and be more reliable than the product purchase event. And so that then helped clear everything up. So then our Academy members would say, you're in and you got VIP. Our non-Academy members would say, do you want VIP? And then it would bring them down into that flow. And then offer them the VIP upsell to say, hey, do you want to get VIP for free if you join Geek Out Academy for the $47 a month price? And then they would come in. Okay. And then they would go. Now, you can see here, this funnel, we also have another workflow. And in this workflow is the trigger event is if they successfully purchased the Geek Out Academy and the VIP. Again, giant shout out. One of the loves of 2.0 is universal products. That was like one of the very first things that Susan and I got really excited about when we first heard it. Because if anybody is coming from 1.0, having to create a separate product every time that you create a funnel is really a pain in the butt. If that product does access control, or if you just want to ask the question, like, how is this product doing, across multiple funnels? It's almost impossible to get that answer in 1.0. In 2.0, universal products, loving that. That's working awesome. But there's something in this, and I tried to troubleshoot for the past 2 days. I just haven't found the answer yet, and I will let you guys know as soon as I find the answer. But there's something in that where they came through, they got the tag that they're a buyer of the GeekOut Academy because they bought VIP. So this is a ClickFunnels 2.0 tag. And here I can make that a little bit bigger. And then we sent them to Active Campaign. And in the Active Campaign, we had a tag that was, oh, that's interesting. It broke. The Active Campaign broke. This is perfect demo. So there was an Active Campaign in there that added the Geek Out Academy tag. And then it would wait for 30 days. This also, we added this in late because we were trying to troubleshoot. And then it would come in and it would say, oh, sorry, this is the active. Let me go back one. But that is interesting that Active Campaign, I'm glad I went in there and saw that. Okay, so let me go into here. All right, let's go back in here. Okay, so here, so this is, they came in and this is the Active Campaign tag that says, hey, they got their, oh no, I wonder if the API, it looks like all of the Active Campaign integrations are not there anymore. Huh, interesting. Okay. All right. Well, good for the demo. They were working as of 3 a.m. this morning. So I'll go back in and add those. But basically, this said add the tag of a lead. Then it had a delay. And then this is where it says, hey, are they here owns the product of Geek Out Academy, which again, we didn't switch that out. So this could do a tag instead to see if that worked. And so we can, that might be something that also was contributing to the bug, just because we recognized that own product thing didn't totally work in the workflows, but tags were more reliable. So, and then it would come down here, and this is where we would add the tag of the VIP. But what we found is that there were people getting sent here that, and instead of down here, even though they didn't have the qualification of they owned the product of Geek Out Academy. So there were about 77 people that went down that path and got the VIP tag. I'm through 20 of them. I have about 50 left. And I would say about, in terms of like who should have got the tag, it's about 25% of them should have actually got the tag. About 75% of them right now shouldn't have. So I'm troubleshooting that right now. I actually thought about you, Madison, in that, like, I'm like, oh, I'd love to go behind the scenes on you guys' challenge and see too, just like powwow on the tech. But what we're finding is that the tags were more reliable in the conditional splits. And now I'm going to troubleshoot why that Active Campaign got disconnected. But but the good news is that in Active Campaign, we can run the tags search and then basically just do a cleanup and make sure everybody who should get VIP is getting it, right? But that was a little bit of a kind of difficult one to manage. The data too is still, it's still a little bit off, but it's better than it has been in the past month. So it was the most accurate that I have seen it, for what that's worth. Yes, that's exactly why Danny didn't get the email, Madison. You got it. Yeah, he was actually the first one that I love when customers tell us, right? Because it's usually the first indication of like there's a problem. Because when we make workflows and automations, a lot of times like we'll just go in and do a check on the numbers just to kind of like, hey, is it flowing? Is it working? But it's not until we get like the individual tickets, right, that we're like, that actually can find the problems. Because they're so nuanced in there, right? And 2.0 is a little bit of a wild card on that front. So yeah, Danny actually helped us to be able to switch that from product owned to tag, because he let us know. So we really appreciated that. Well, he saved
she's
like
actually
10 other people.
She's actually she's talking about me, not Danny Walsh.
Oh, got it. Well, Danny Walsh was the one that I was referring to.
I sent her a message before we started telling her I didn't get an email. So I think she's talking to me. So,
for your challenge. Yeah.
For her challenge, I did not get an email when I signed up for their challenge. But what I was going to say in regards to tags, products, whatever, my suggestion would be when somebody buys, they're automatically going to get the purchase token. I would also give them a tag. And then in your workflow,
yes, that's what we do.
You can do belt and suspenders in the workflow, and you can say, if this person bought this product, or if this person has this tag, then do something. Because you put that or in there, it's going to look for either one of them, not both. If it's an and, it's both. Either one is an or. If they got either one, boom. So you're going to have a much, much greater likelihood of that going through and working them properly.
Yeah. It's, it's funny. I didn't even think about that, Dan, because I'm like,
always been an issue. Tags and stuff like that has always been an issue with, I think, just about most software.
Well, the tags were the ones that were good. The tags were the reliable ones. It's the product owned that was the problem. Yeah.
And I think part of it is it's a delay factor too, because so you'd make a purchase. How long does it take for that purchase token to show up in the system properly? And
that's a great point, because
even if it's 10 seconds, the next thing might trigger and fire before that 10 seconds is up, and so you're not going to get you're not going to get a true, as you were saying, coding, you're not going to get a truthy result on the back end.
That's a great point, Dan, because we know, like in 1.0, for instance, it takes 15 minutes on average for a tag to be applied to a contact. But we found that out because people weren't getting access to the things in the membership, even though they had the tag, And so anyway, that's a great point. There's a question in the comments. So if I understand correctly, Active Campaign intended to be, if you have any insight, it seems, if I understand correctly, Active Campaign managed to interact with 2.0 as if it were 2.0, placing tags and steps continued. Yes, that is correct. And then we decided to study. What's that?
That was Sebastian asking that question.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Cool. Yes. And then you decided to study Active Campaign this weekend. Yes. Let's get our geek on, Sebastian. I love Active Campaign. We'll just nerd out on it. I love it.
And Michael has the next question there.
Okay. Kind of random question. In what timeline do you think 2.0 will be the flagship it's intended to be? If you have any insight, it seems like a lot of really smart devs are busting their booties, but the roadblocks do get frustrating. Oh my gosh. Thank you. So well said. So this morning, again, I was on the call with Nicole. And so we have committed, like, we're all in on 2.0. We're going to try to push as hard as we can. We still, with many of our clients, keep them in 1.0 for exactly that question. So I, in terms of a projected timeline, I think we would all just be guessing at this point. I love that Funnel Hacking Live is probably a huge pressure point for them. But I know that they are working their tuchus off, right? And again, I do still think that it is going to be the best, but for right now, if you can't afford some of these kind of hiccups because A, it's just really stressful, B, if you were like really needing to like things to be dialed in on your tech because of like constraints or pressures around money or time or capacity, right? Then I do think that 1.0 is still a better solution. I think if you have a little bit more of a tolerance for, hey, we know we're going to experience a couple bugs. We know that the data might not be kind of right or totally right. We know that people might have some issues on payment processing, right? Like these are the kind of things that are still happening with 2.0. And so it would be, if you just absolutely can't kind of afford to navigate that, stay with 1.0. But if you are in it to win it and you want some of these other benefits of 2.0, like the things we were able to do around the split funnel were really cool. Universal products, really cool. The building of these pages, because we have style guides all dialed in, it was even faster than anything we could have done in 1.0. Like we can crank out a page in like no time flat. I think Susan actually made one in like 5 minutes. Like it is crazy stupid fast just because of that. So there are some really good benefits of 2.0, but again, it comes with a little bit of like, you have to know you're going to hit some bugs and some rough spots. And so just be ready for it. Just know that that's going to happen. Yeah. And in terms of time, I'm totally long-winded answer. Again, I think Funnel Hacking Live, I think most of their resources are probably going towards just dialing in the like funnel work and all of that good stuff, which is awesome. And yeah, and I still think it's the right choice, but I don't know, Dan, if you had a guess on timeline, what would you say?
I got a bunch of different thoughts on a bunch of different things here, but the biggest thing is, my personal opinion is, I don't need them rolling out anything new at Funnel Hacking Live. What I need them to do is get everything they currently have given to us fixed and working. I was going to say perfectly, but there's never a perfectly.
Right.
But that's the thing is, we also forget is the original ClickFunnels is 9 years old now or something. And any other softwares you're looking at, I mean, WordPress has been around for 20 plus years, and that still doesn't work right half the time, at least the last time I used it, which was a while ago. Excuse me. But let me mute for a second here. You go ahead.
Well, I'm so now I'm like, I'll submit the bug, but I'm like, dang it, all of the active campaign tags all broke. So I wonder if I need to go back into, it's looking like I need to go into every workflow and get those wired back up. But that's, Sebastian, to ease your concern, that's the first time that I've actually seen the active campaign not tightly connected or a bug there. So far, it's done really good. So I've been happy with the integration, the API integration with it.
Yeah, well, if I can stop talking here for a second, what I started to say is, ClickFunnels is, let's say, 10 years old. It's something close to that. And how many iterations and improvements? I mean, we're on the second or third version of the editor at this point right now. And other add-ons have been created, everything that Jamie Smith has done, other things have been added in over time. And so, it's had a long ramp up period, and it's been tested and tested and tested, and billions of dollars have been run through it. Whereas with 2.0, again, it's a baby in a poopy diaper at this point. And it's got a lot of things to get done, got a lot of add-ons to be done. Someday, hopefully not too soon, the API will come out, and I say hopefully not too soon because I'm afraid it's going to break the system when they release it. But on the other hand, you got people like Winter Jones, who he's coming out with a new product where it's going to basically, what was it? He used some sort of AI to build the style guides with. I have no idea what this thing is going to look like, but it's going to be interesting. But there's a lot of people who are coming out with stuff like that. I've built several bookmarklets that we can use in there now to do certain things, enhance the ability to put in code. I built a bookmarklet where on an editor page, it's so hard to get into the style guide. All you got to do is click the bookmarklet, boom, style guide appears on your page. So there's all these things that are going to get built and integrated with time. And so that, again, is something you got to be aware of, and it's not going to happen overnight. And especially as they continue to modify the system, that's why partly I want them to just, get the part done working now that they have, get it to the point of being stable so that we then can go in and write code to modify things. So that when somebody does say to us, hey, can you do this? Yeah, sure I can. Because an example for me was I wrote a bunch of code to modify how the courses work. Well, 2 months later, I guess it was probably, somebody says to me, oh, hey, Dan, this isn't working anymore. I look in there, they'd rewritten all the code. So I had to rewrite all my code. Well, guess what? 2 weeks later, they changed the code again. And I said, I'm giving up until this thing is stable. Because right now it's not. And so that's the point where I really want to see them get as quickly as possible and then add on new products and other things going forward.
Yeah. I wonder if they are rolling out iterations, David, because I've got the same 404 errors. And again, the active campaign break, it's interesting. Okay. We want to get to 2 more things in the time that we have left. So the first one is, I got to give a giant shout out. So we used Voomly for this funnel and for this challenge and for our videos. Because again, we're like, okay, we're all in on 2.0. We think Voomly is going to be the future there. And we're really interested in getting better with the interactive nature of those videos to increase engagement and the customer journey, which is our jam. So we went all in on Voomly. So all of the video replays, everything in our GeekOut Academy is Voomly. And we learned a couple lessons there. So first and foremost, we had these replays as pages, and they were working fine. And then all of a sudden, we think Voomly, there was a break that caused this weird gobbledygook code and error message. So we tried to remake the page, just thinking maybe it got corrupted, because we know that can happen with ClickFunnels. So, but that didn't work. It was the exact same problem. So then we moved to funnel to make a funnel step instead of a page. And that seemed to correct the problem. So if you are working with Voomly and you have it on a page versus a funnel step, just be aware that might happen and be testing it. The other thing is, what I noticed is when you load Voomly into a page, sometimes it can take up to 10 or 15 minutes for the video to actually render and show. So even though like we copy and paste the embed code, it doesn't always show right away. So be patient with it in order for it to do it. And then the last one is, we weren't sure, because in Voomly you have the ability to do it as an iframe or as a video embed. Do the video embed. We played with both, and the video embed is the one that ended up working for us. So those are just some lessons learned on the Voomly front.
You
But then
watch the video I shot on that 6 months ago that told you exactly to use the embed.
Oh, Dan, if only we'd listened to you more. I know.
Oh, listen to me occasionally.
It's true. It's true. But again, putting these pages up and running and having the replays there and the homework. And then we had these as hidden, and Susan actually, she did a great job of just setting us up for success. So these were hidden. So as soon as we loaded the video, we could just unhide it. And then, we would go right into the watch the day 2, and we got that out, and we set the link to these directly through our email campaign and active campaign. So people could jump right in there and get what they need to get done. And then of course, at the end, it moved into the offer. So that I was pretty happy with how that worked. We'll move these now into our GeekOut Academy after about a week for, people who are wanting those replays and paying for the replays. So we'll talk more about that. But that part, I was really happy with
comment here about YouTube. And I've been seeing the exact same thing with my YouTube videos lately as well, probably for the last 2 months, that you go to the page and some of them just take forever to load on the screen. I don't know what that's a function of, but yeah, it's really a pain in the butt. But yeah, and the thing you said with Voomly, Tony Barnett had sent me an image of the page with all the broken code on it. I just don't know as though that could be a Voomly issue, because it's just an embed code. So I think just something happened in ClickFunnels yesterday that happened to make that happen when you were looking at those pages.
Interesting.
More of a function. Yeah, I think it's definitely, because it's just like I said, it's if I recall, it's either a script or an iframe. No, it's not an iframe, but it's whatever. It shouldn't cause a problem. Doesn't work on mobile. Voomly doesn't work on mobile very well. Blaze in B81 said.
Oh, that's interesting. We'll have to test it more. We haven't experienced that yet, but I'd be interested to learn more about your experience there. And then I work in SaaS, and no, don't stop talking. That's great. I love, I think this is the reason why we do Geek Out Live. So just getting you guys' like boots on the ground in the trenches. What are you guys seeing? This is what we're seeing. We love ClickFunnels, and let's be real, and let's all run businesses and keep moving forward with it. Right. So that's what we're trying to do. So it's great. And then Sebastian, I think that was your comment above of staying with Show It and Active Campaign, which is a really interesting combo. So I'm actually looking forward to hearing too what you guys ran into with your amazing opt-in that you did. We haven't experienced any bugs on the opt-in front, but I'm really curious to learn more about what you guys' experience was. I know we have a workshop in 5 minutes, so maybe we'll have some time you can share.
Well, there's one thing I want to show if you got done with everything, because there was something that I saw on the Funnel Builder certification call this morning, and it comes down to a question I see all the time in the ClickFunnels group, which is, how do I put up physical products? Because when you go to the product page, it only gives you the option of digital product, but that's only because they don't have the ability to be shipping products now. You can sell physical products, you can sell multiple physical products, you can sell variations of physical products, and you can sell quantities of physical products. So I kept this page open if you want me to show it real quick. I just want you to see it, just so that they know it's real. And I did a video, if you go to my YouTube channel, look up a Voomly. I did a video on there about how Russell had built out the Voomly page, and how they had all these different variations in there. And I was like, okay, how did they do that? Okay. How did they do that? And so I had to figure all that out. And I have Madison's page open here. So let's go here. This was the page that we were looking at. Now, when we had this open this morning, there was one more feature in here, which was quantity selector. So here you have a drop down for your variations on what you want. So this is a 6-pack of whatever the heck this is. And so you can pick which one of these you want, and then you can click on select, and then it'll select it. And then you got all 4 flavors or the classic trio. We can do that. We can select this one too. And if that quantity selector was still on there, you could do that as well. And how you set that is actually quite simple here in the order form. You click on the order form, and then what you got to do is you got to back up here to where it says checkout, and you come down to product select, and then you click on advanced. And here you can say, do I want it to be a single product? Do I want it to be multiple products? So then you have your ability to select there. So we saw that over here where you could select multiple products. If you only have a single product, it will only let you pick one. So you have the ability to pick more than one product. Yes, Madison?
Oh, no, I was just saying Madison did make a good point, though, Dan, on this. And we experienced the same in that variants don't work for the OTO, or at least it didn't 2 weeks ago. And we had the same experience. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this isn't an OTO, so I can't speak to that. So you got multiple products here, so you can select one or all the products like you saw on the other page. But then you can also put in your quantity. So you can put in here, and you got plus and minus, but I'm on the editor here, so we can't see that, and I bounced myself out. So we'll go back in there. And so the page we were looking at originally today on the FBC call also had the quantity in there. So you could choose either, you could choose from the drop down, you could select one or all of the 3, and you could select the quantity. So, I mean, that's huge that all that goes in there. And then you can even have a force quantity. So that they, I don't know if you can change this number or not, because I'm not on a live page right now. And I don't have any products set up here or anything else. But the point is you can do physical products, and you can do multiples of them, and quantities and variables and blah, blah, all this stuff. So don't think you can't do it. It's just the biggest problem is when you get into this order form, there's probably 300 to 500 options in here. That's where the problem comes in, is just finding where you have to go to be able to set this up. But what I found is the easiest way to do it is come up here and change this where it says number of steps. Change it to 1 step. Because if you change it to 3 steps, you're going to notice how all this changed here now. A lot of that stuff you could see here before went away. So now if you change it all to 1 step, it's basically one-stop shopping. So everything you need to look at is right here, and you can click on it. Then at the very end, once you're done setting it up, if you want to go to 3-step, then change it to 3-step.
Yeah. David. Yeah, the order form, they gave us a lot. It is a Ferrari now for sure. There's a lot. Yeah. But
if I shot training on this, I mean, it seriously could be 24, 38, who knows how many hours of training on just to use the checkout element.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Okay, well, we are at the top of the hour, and we have a workshop to do for all of our people who are new to our continuum, GeekOut Continuum. They all were hard at work making their linchpin plans over the past 2 days, and so we're gonna go and project manage it and get it down on a plan so that we can get it done. So that's super exciting. Our GeekOut Academy membership, I think we're almost gonna have to do. Let's do that on next Wednesday, Dan, where we can geek out about it even more and deep dive into what we did there.
Yeah, it might actually be working by then.
We still got some
it's working now. Wait, I'm sorry. No, it's working now. It's perfect.
Right. Right. Yep. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys all for joining. As always, we appreciate being on the journey with you guys, and we look forward to all of your questions in our community. We had a good week. We had, I think, about 20 new people join the community this week. And yeah, it's awesome. We're loving, and we love just the camaraderie and just the helpfulness in the group. So can't thank you guys enough. Thank you. And we will see you guys in the workshop. Take care.